The final topic, which all of you are not agreeing, but there's a topic that you guys agree
on. That always agree on.
And that is to do with, now we are told that you guys are getting some night allowance of 18,200 shillings every night that you attend Parliament. First of all, how much have you received so far, Ndindi Nyoro? And what is the justification for this?
I have not received what you are talking about. And you know, in Parliament, we don't have unions. We only have the Parliamentary Service Commission. And I think they are much better versed with that matter than myself.
Even when you are the recipient of the money?
I have not received any money.
Okay.
And you can take that to the bank.
So do you vouch for it, though? Do you vouch for the Parliamentary Service Bill, which is on President Uhuru Kenyatta's desk to be signed, and you get the new perks that are on there, including a gift shop?
Zinzi, please let us desist from misleading Kenyans. And I think he's put it very well. The Parliamentary Service Commission is better versed on those issues than ourselves will be versed with. But I think the Parliamentary Service Bill, please let us not misinform Kenyans that the PSC bill has anything to do with perks. The Parliamentary Service Bill has everything to do with anchoring the PSC as a constitutional commission, just like all other commissions. And I think it is only commission pursuant to the Constitution that had no law that anchors it. And that is all that has been. The only thing that touches on the perks is perks that members of Parliament are already enjoying. The senator for Homa Bay will tell you he gets a small mileage allowance for use of his private car.
And that's not the problem.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Let's take a story that was done by...
I would not say don't pay him, because I come from Kikuyu, which is 10 minutes from Nairobi. I will not need the mileage claim. But for him who has to drive over probably 500 kilometers to the farthest. In fact, his county, there are places you'll not even use his car. He has to put it on a boat. And it's crazy on a ferry. And he pays for it. Therefore, you cannot tell him that you'll not be compensated.
We need to take a story that was done by Francis Gashuri that puts into context what we are talking about. If we can have that story.
Members of the August House have been silently pocketing at least 18,200 shillings each 4 times a week for each night spent in the city attending parliamentary sittings. In total, 72,000 shillings every week, or 291,000 shillings every month since last month. The night allowances were endorsed by the Parliamentary Service Commission PSC, chaired by National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, after the High Court stopped payment of house allowances to members of Parliament at the tail end of May, following an objection by Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC and public interest litigant Okia Omtata. At that time, each of the members of Parliament had pocketed at least 1.4 million shillings in house allowances, backdated to October last year. PSC, as the MP's employer, relying on a Justice Chacha Mwita verdict on an employer's obligation in providing an employee a house allowance or benefit. With the August House yet again accused of runaway greed, Muturi has defended the night allowances, insisting he had a duty to facilitate members of Parliament attend House sittings after the house allowance gravy train was stopped. The night allowances, he says, was payable subject to confirmation of an MP's House or committee attendance. Muturi holding that the allowance will indeed improve House attendance and deal with constant quorum hitches that hamper House business. The Parliamentary Service Commission basing its argument on allowances payable to members of Parliament in other countries. For example, in Australia, members of Parliament receive 14,500 shillings per night while the House is in session, or up to 4,400 shillings when in their constituencies. In Lesotho, members of Parliament earn a house allowance of 84,000 shillings per month, alongside loans to purchase duty-free vehicles and communication allowances. In South Africa and Zambia, members of Parliament are accommodated in parliamentary villages but receive no house allowances, while in Britain, members of Parliament are entitled to accommodation and travel allowances to enable them commute between London and their constituencies. In the USA, lawmakers are entitled to either a house rent or hotel accommodation allowance. But pundits have argued that a majority of the members of Parliament own houses within Nairobi or its environs, and hence no need for night allowances. The latest allowances are likely to spark a fresh combat between Parliament and SRC, with the Salaries Commission insisting members of Parliament earn a consolidated pay, which includes house allowances. Francis Gashuri, Citizen Weekend.
So that's the story that Ndindi Nyoro and Kimani Ichung'wah claim is not true, but Mheshimiwa Ndolo, is there any justification that for a member of parliament to attend sittings in Nairobi, they need to be facilitated to be within town, and therefore they get 18,200 shillings a night?
Well, I think they have a right. We've been there as former MPs. We know what's going on right now. When you're outside, you feel that the MPs have a role to play, and they have a lot of work, especially for our voters. When they know that you're an MP, they bring you a lot of issues that you cannot even compare. That why did I come to become an MP? You see, they have issues that sometimes it goes above or aboard of what they are supposed to do in the National Assembly.
But how is that related to housing allowance? I mean, to accommodation allowance or night allowance, if you call it so?
For example, somebody from Garissa. You know, nowadays, it's, maybe it's okay. You know, it can take about 3 hours or 4 hours to go to Garissa. But during our time, it used to take about 1 or 2 days for one to come all the way from Garissa. Leave alone that. When you say about the allowances that they are supposed to get, it's an issue that the voters should understand, that it's not only the MPs that are entitled to get the allowances. But what about those state organization staff? They also get allowances when they go outside and do other things. In fact, they get more than MPs if you compare some of the state of operation staff.
Fair enough, but that excuse of voters will come and ask for you money year in, year out, that's the excuse our members of parliament use. Is it even a sustainable reason for increase of allowance?
You know, it's not just to increase the allowances. It's about, day-to-day life, which what is going on in this country. The economy, if you compare now and a few years ago, you have to make sure that at least you get something above what you are supposed to get.
Okay.
Believe me, Zinzi, MPs have a lot of work, whatever they are doing. In fact, to me, even what they are getting is nothing.
Okay, all right.
Please, to me, it's nothing.
Mheshimiwa Ndolo, you say it's nothing, but obviously in this country, just a few weeks ago, and this is a matter that is already in court about the 250,000 housing allowance, and now you see the chairperson of the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, confirming that it is indeed a facilitation that they are going to, or they are working on, so that members of Parliament can get 18,200 shillings every day. But I guess they have to prove that they do not have a house.
Let me ask you one question. Those MPs who have been there before, some of them who are let's say hawakujipanga, can you imagine how they are right now? Just give me an example of those former MPs who are there, who have been there before. Because they come out with issues that somebody wakes up in the morning, you find 25 people in your house, expecting something. Leave alone whatever you are talking about.
But you can't cure that by raising the benefits and remuneration of the members of parliament. It has to be a wider conversation than that.
That's the disease that is there.
But then you see...
I think it's good also for us even to be on context and to look at it in the bigger picture. And I'm not talking this because I'm a member of parliament. I'm talking this as a Kenyan. If you put the entire budget of parliament, including the National Assembly and Senate, in one basket, you put up even the money, all the entire monies that goes to paying governors, and the entire devolved money, you put it in the same basket. You put CDF there. I want to tell you, it is less than 25% of the entire budget. So even as we demonize...
Less than 20%.
Less than 20% of the entire 3 trillion. So even as we demonize, because clearly every time you wake up, even especially myself, as a young member of parliament, of course you don't feel very good when every time you see splashing headlines, of course demonizing the work you do. I want to say that we also need to focus on the other bigger picture of the 80%, even as we demonize the work that is done by
and that is why the National Assembly is there to play the oversight for the National Executive and the Senate for the counties. But so now, there are all those reasons that appear to justify, but from where you see it, is it justified to get a night allowance for a member of parliament or who is receiving a consolidated pay, inclusive of course, you add other allowances, committee seating allowances, you add mileage allowance, a car grant, there's a mortgage and house, a mortgage
which is
allocation that you can take if you want?
Some members of parliament are very transparent in as far as the benefits they get are concerned. The members of the judiciary might not be that transparent. The members of the executive might not be that transparent. In the executive, they even have a wardrobe allowance, and it's a fairly handsome figure. I am not trying to justify that because they get a wardrobe allowance, we should also get a wardrobe allowance so that Ichungwa can get a tie on his next show. But the point that Ichungwa raised, this PSC bill that I see an image of the president ready to sign it, it addresses a big gap that should have been addressed 8 years ago. Every other commission has got an act of parliament that supports it. Why are we having this problem with the SRC? Because the SRC, everyone has come to believe that it is the one that sets targets, it's the one that defines benefits. And if you go to the JSC, there's a manner in which the Judicial Service Commission has been able to assert itself and ensure that magistrates and judges and members who work in the judiciary get the tools they need to perform their duties. Now, the right word here is tools, Sam. The PSC as an employer must give us tools to do our work. If I'm going to Mfangano, which we have said in some parts, even there's no Kenyan network, there's Ugandan network, give me tools to reach Mfangano. Give me a speedboat, get me a ferry, get me whatever I need to get there. Right. What PSC has done, it is impossible for it to procure boats for everybody and procure phones for everyone. They have said, let us give you cash so that you get these services that you need to serve your people. So finally, anyone who has read Barack Obama's story, as a senator for Illinois, Barack Obama was able to move simply because the Senate in the United States gave him the tools to do his work. We are not so much concerned about what goes to the pocket. Personally, I'm not concerned about that because I've got a profession. What I'm concerned about is that I've been given a job. Give me the tools to do the job. If I'm a teacher, don't tell me to buy chalk. Give me the chalk, give me the paper so that I'm able to deliver to the students. That is my view on this matter.
Thank you,
it's
Senator.
Not about personal benefit.
Thank you, Senator Moses Kajwang. Allow me to say that you're out of order. The argument that in other countries MPs get nice allowance doesn't justify your MPs' greed. Can they also highlight the corresponding salaries of the same MPs they are comparing themselves with? This is pure greed. They can leave if they feel their demands are not met. That's someone who is making a comment based on the story that Francis Gashuri did there. We can look at, what do you start with, SMS or tweet? Yes, we start with the tweets. Citizen TV Engineer Lazaro says that the supremacy war between National Assembly and the Senate, and actually that N and A should be capital, right? And the Senate is nothing but just a case of two hyenas fighting over a bone. First of all, we are overrepresented and overburdened.
That's on Twitter, according to Lazaro. Still on Twitter, Kennedy, you say, it's not unique seeing our leaders in their scapegoating mission. Some of the MPs were there when Kenyans passed the constitution with the parliament rules. We have crops of leaders with misplaced priorities. This hocus pocus.
Whoa, okay. The other name. The battles of who is mightier than who between National Assembly and Senate is really out of place. Let these fellows read, understand, and agree on how to work together without displaying ego conflicts in public. On SMS line, the panelists agree on one side.
No, we agree. I mean, I hope Duale is listening.
Oh, you agree, but you have details. Rachel John?
Yes. On SMS, John says revenue collection has been the most elusive thing in devolved Kenya. A reason the national government borrows culturally. Why doesn't the Senate take up this as a pilot oversight project we put it in brackets, the big one agenda to enable us to relieve us from repaying China over the huge borrowing?
Of course, that's what you've been texting us on 2242. Muhidin from Mayale. Those who herald for the new constitution had previously assured Kenyans that there would be a strong Senate to check on the excesses of Parliament and the executive, but people like Orengos and others in the Senate rejected it. We need a stronger Senate. I believe what you said, Parliament, you meant National Assembly. And now. Mheshimiwa Ndolo is biased by imagining life has only gotten hard for members of parliament and that Kenyans beg them. Why not empower this begging Kenyan? That is Okubo from Iselo County. Of course, so many views that are coming through. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us. Senator Moses Kajong from Homa Bay County.
Why are you thinking twice about it?
No, because your member of parliament told you that he represents you.
He's well represented.
Doing village politics, but he comes from Homa Bay Town.
That's village politics.
He comes from Homa Bay Town. Ndindi Nyoro, member of parliament for Kiharu. Kikuyu, member of parliament Kimani Ichung'wah. Ruben Ndolo, former member of parliament for Makadara. Asanteni sana for coming through.
Thank you.